In today's session, I have important objectives I want to accomplish. Is ensure I give each of you something to take away at the end of this session, irrespective of what role you play in your organization. If you're a business owner, I want you to take back an understanding of how IT helps run your business and also helps drive growth because IT is predominantly seen as a supporting role in an organization rather than something that helps you drive business. And if you're someone from sales or marketing or HR, I want to talk about a few examples of how IT facilitates your individual job function, even though you might not think IT is directly related to what you do. And finally, and last but not least, if you are someone from IT, I'm going to talk about a lot of use cases, a lot of problems that you might be facing in your organization, show the wide range of products that Manage Engine has and how it can help solve those problems. Kind of like the initial set I was kind of preparing was around trying to make people understand that running a business is not just about your sales, your marketing, your HR coming together, especially if you are um, building or trying to build an enterprise. We are here in the enterprise solutions track today because you are working for a company which has big aspirations to become an enterprise or it's already operating at that enterprise level. So uh, I'm going to talk about how IT helps drive growth by supporting all of these individual departments in helping acquire new customers and also ensuring that they retain existing customers. And of course, upselling to customers is also very important so that you are able to grow by making more revenue from your existing clients as well. So I know all of you are here from the IT side. So we are always seen as more of a cost center, more of a supporting function. But in today's business, we play a very crucial role in supporting the entire business. And what we do, which we ourselves don't really realize, is that we help drive business also because the way we are structured, it's not really looked at in a way where IT is something that helps you drive business. So we are here on the enterprise track. We are here to help grow our business into becoming an enterprise. And IT, as we all know, plays a big role here. So I'm going to give you some pointers also so that you could uh, take those things back to your organization and show some examples of how IT helps marketing, IT helps customer support, and IT helps close deals also. All right. So, and unfortunately, good IT or good IT operations is always in the background, right? Nobody really thinks of IT until something goes wrong. I kind of see IT as like water, right? You wake up in the morning, you open the tap to brush your teeth, you expect water to be there. And only when you don't see water there, you kind of start missing it. So nobody really thinks about IT until it's actually gone. But one important aspect that the rest of the business doesn't always realize is if you don't have an efficient engine that is powering the entire business, it could hurt your organization in terms of helping it grow. For example, I walked up to this stage, connected my laptop to the display there, and expected my screen to show up there. I wore this mic expecting it to work so that you can hear what I have to say. Now, assuming or imagine I had issues in projecting my laptop onto the screen. You, as an audience, you're not going to only look at it as, oh, you know what, Zoho guys probably had a technical issue and they couldn't get it up and running. If we are not able to get our things right in place, that is going to affect our brand. You're going to probably think, Zoho guys can't even get the AV to work properly. How are they going to help me run my business? Right. So when IT doesn't work like it's supposed to, it really hurts your brand reputation. And so also um, hurts business in simple terms. Right. So I'm going to talk about three different areas where IT can help or does help in helping build your enterprise. Now, probably 20 years ago, I'll probably pick 20 years, the first thing that anyone did when they wanted to start a business was print a business card, right? Today, that business card has turned into a website. It's one of the most basic things you need to get right um, in order for a business to start functioning. Now, I remember, um, you know, 20 years ago or around the dot-com bubble, when like websites landed, I remember watching websites load. That used to be an actual event. Websites would take about 10 seconds or 20 seconds to load. You'll initially see some text appearing and then some background screen, and then your images literally would load like it's getting printed on your screen. But that was acceptable. That was okay. But imagine now, today, waiting for even 5 seconds for a website to load, or even 2 seconds for a website to load. Absolutely no one has the attention span to let that website load so they could see the information that they came looking for. And that basically creates the first impression. So your digital ecosystem is the first impression, or the first impressions that your potential clients develop on your business. So turning away from customers and looking at on the employee side, you need to ensure that your digital ecosystem or workplace is working efficiently. Now, again, before the pandemic, at least, a workplace used to be a physical location that you would walk into every morning along with your colleagues, and together you would accomplish tasks to um, more or less help run your business. Now, the definition of a workplace is different. A workplace is basically where you have your laptop and a good Wi-Fi connection, and you're done. That's your workplace. So you need to ensure that you support your employees so that they have efficient systems to work with, so they are able to be productive and accomplish their day-to-day tasks, so that they are able to help grow your business. And finally, and this particular aspect hasn't changed when it comes to business for over 1,000 years. One of the basic things that a client would need to do business with you is trust, right? You need to have trust in that business to be able to close a deal. Now, today in a digital environment, that trust comes in the form of security frameworks. You need to have the best in class security frameworks to be able to showcase that you as a business can be trusted with your clients' data. And especially if you're from a highly regulated industry like healthcare, you need to have compliance certifications as a mandate. It's not even an option anymore. So if you're, for example, operating in the healthcare space, you need to be HIPAA compliant, right? If you're processing any kind of credit card information, you need to be PCI and DSS compliant. So you need to put all these systems in place so that you qualify for for these certifications. And even if it is not a mandate, if you are able to showcase that you have qualified for these certifications, that by itself kind of helps build that trust in your business, right? So today I'm going to explain with some real time scenarios or real time examples of how, as an IT team, we can all work together to help drive business. So imagine you're part of Zilker Inc., which is a fictional company, which is a medium-sized business, has a great set of products and people and services, and they have big aspirations to become an enterprise. So in order to do that, you need to do three fundamental things. One, generate new opportunities. Two, take those opportunities, convert that into customers. And finally, once you onboard your customers, be able to deliver value by by means of your products or services, right? So what is the first thing that comes to mind when you um, have to generate opportunities? Start with a marketing campaign. Basically, a campaign aimed to showcase your products and services to the right audience. Now, one common factor of any marketing campaign be it a digital marketing campaign where it's like a bunch of social media posts or an email marketing campaign or an offline campaign like trade shows or meeting customers, the one converging point is your website. So you have links as part of your social media posts, you have links as part of your email marketing campaign, and even if it's an offline campaign, you have brochures which basically talk about your products a little bit, and you have a QR code to bring your users or your potential clients to your website so they can learn more about your products, right? So a converging point for any marketing campaign is your website. Now, you put in all this work to drive traffic to your website, and imagine your website does not load or it's not accessible from all the various geographical locations. Now, as all of you are from IT, you know that just because your website or a certain application works from one location, it doesn't always mean that it works for every single person out there distributed in various geographical locations. So you could be doing business with people in Mexico, you could be doing business with people in Canada, you may be doing business with people in Europe. There is no way to for you to physically monitor or have someone go log into your website from Europe to let you know it's accessible or not. So you need to have systems in place which not only monitor your website from one geographical location, but from multiple geographical locations. And one of the worst problems you could probably have with a marketing campaign is at the surface, everything works, but none of your leads are coming into your CRM, right? There's a lot of things that need to go right for these leads to come in. So when it comes to a marketing campaign, any business kind of more or less focuses on what is there at the top, the number of visitors it's able to drive, the amount of time spent on a website, your CTO rate, your open rate, kind of these are the standard metrics that any marketing person would give you. But for your marketing campaign to be successful, your potential clients need to see what you have to offer. So you need to ensure that your website is available, it's up and running. It doesn't take like 10 seconds to load. It needs to be responsive from multiple geographical locations and not just one, so that your end users have a good experience and get what they came there to see. And obviously, your website is not just your HTML page. There's a lot of individual components that make up your website, and every single thing has to absolutely fire so that your marketing campaign is smooth. People come in, have a good experience on your website, and go ahead to become your clients. So these are not things that you can do all by yourself. You need to have a robust set of tools that would help you monitor your websites, monitor your bandwidth, and also do a complete end-to-end application monitoring. And all of this needs to be absolutely proactive and has to happen passively. You can't have anyone looking at your website's availability manually every single time. So, Manage Engine's enterprise IT management platform has a wide range of tools which help you start from basic website monitoring. And also, as part of your website, the ability for your website to load is not always just on the website alone. It also depends on how much traffic your website is able to process. Now, as part of a marketing campaign, a successful marketing campaign, having a lot of traffic is not a bad problem to have, right? But you need to ensure that your website scales when 100 people are accessing it and also has the same level of performance when 1,000 people are accessing it or 10,000 people are accessing it. So you need to be able to monitor it continuously and have a central system where if anything goes wrong with your digital ecosystem, you're the first person to know. Trust me, you don't want to be the last person to know if your website is not working, right? So Manage Engine's enterprise IT management platform is built around centralization that includes central issue tracking, all your monitoring systems, your applications that are being monitored, your websites that are being monitored. If anything goes wrong, if there is any kind of deteriorated performance, it automatically logs a request or an incident in your enterprise service management so that uh, or you're the first person to know if when something goes wrong. And you need to have a central repository of all events, all alarms. So at any point in time, um, you're not looking at each and every individual event separately. Most of the times, all of these events are connected together, right? So I'll show you a few examples of what this looks like. So this is your base level website monitoring that you can start off with. Now, website monitoring is not just about the average response time. It's not always about just if the website is up and running or not, but you also need to have a good grip of ensuring each and every individual component of your website is up and running. And it has the same level of performance, whether it's accessed from Houston or if it's whether it's accessed from Europe or if it's accessed from Asia, if you're a business or you're associated to a business which has a global footprint. And monitoring your application stack is equally important. You could have your application stack built on top of Java or .NET or PHP, or you might have everything hosted on AWS or Azure. And one, and you guys know, like it just because you host something on AWS, it doesn't mean that it's always going to be available. You need to ensure that individual components kind of work together um, to ensure everything works. So I'll have a few examples of the comprehensiveness that Manage Engine has to offer when it comes to website and application monitoring. So if you look at an application, it's not just the front end, right? It has your web server, it has your application server, it has your middleware, it has a database in the background, and all these individual components have to have an optimal performance for your websites and your digital ecosystem to load. So you pick any application stack under the sun, Manage Engine has the capability to monitor it. It can monitor your application servers, databases, web servers, and these are all pre-configured. You don't have to like write additional scripts to set up your monitoring. So, for example, if you use something like Nagios, it has very basic functionality out of the box, but you need to write a lot of scripts for you to be able to monitor all the individual components effectively, right? So Manage Engine is built on a plug and play model wherein you don't have to do a lot of configuration. All you need to do is enter specific credentials, point it to the application or the website or the device you want to monitor, and it does that monitoring for you. So, um, this is an example of what a Postgres monitor is. So you have your connection time, the buffer time, the lock that's happening, the buffer, disk usage, and the query statistics, number of insert queries that are running per minute, the number of updates and delete queries that are running. So you have a complete sense on and a grip over what is happening in your Postgres. So if there are top queries which are slowing down your entire database, you see that right here. And if you're if you want to monitor everything in a single place, like let's say an application's responsiveness depends on the entire stack from your application layer to your database layer. At each stage, it the requests need to hand over to each other um, quickly. So your website or your application loads. So we have a complete stack which can monitor your .NET applications. For example, I picked this one, which is monitoring an application running on Ruby on Rails. So it gives you the application's performance from an end user's perspective. It kind of takes all the individual metrics and converts it into an AppDex score, which tells you if your end users are satisfied with the performance, or if they're just tolerating it, or if they're actually frustrated. So it looks at every individual transaction from the front end layer to your entire database level. So you know when someone says my application is slow, it's a very broad set of things that could go wrong, right? You need to check the front end, you need to check your middleware, you need to check your databases. With Manage Engine, the entire thing becomes very easy. So it can tell you what are the transactions that are taking the longest to run, if it is an issue at a database level, or if it is an issue at the application level, so that you can do your troubleshooting quickly. Um, do you also monitor your network devices using SolarWinds? Okay, so we have an equivalent product here. It's called Op Manager, which is an on-premises version. But we also have a cloud version of our Op Manager, which is Site 24/7, which can help you monitor your network devices. It does an auto discovery of your entire network and automatically maps it as well. So you know if a router goes down, what are the devices that are connected to it? What is the status? What was the uptime? When was the last time it went out? And what are the various other assets which are going to be affected by this particular downtime? And all of your alarms come to a central alarm repository. So this has a funnel of alarms coming in from your applications, your network devices, everything in a single location. So it helps you do a lot of cross correlation as well when you have all the events in a single place. All right. So going back to my presentation. So let's say you have all these things in place, you have a good grip over your entire application stack, and that ensures that you have a successful marketing campaign. And let's say Zilker got a lot of leads, and it's time to hit the road, meet these potential clients, and start making some conversions, right? So imagine the scenario: you're an account manager, you're sitting with your sales engineer, doing your sales pitch, and now it's time to do a demo, a walkthrough of what your product is. And this is actually um, an incident that happened to me personally, where I was traveling with a sales engineer doing demos. And to do the demo, he tried to connect to the corporate VPN. It didn't connect. And turned out my friend um, found a VPN software online which would allow him to watch Netflix shows from different countries, right? So kind of opens up a whole array of new shows for him. But what happened is that VPN that he installed made some configuration changes, which prevented the corporate VPN from connecting. And if that doesn't connect, the demo doesn't go through. And I don't know if you guys have been in a situation like that, but trust me, you don't want to be in a situation like that because you look like absolute amateurs, right? And especially if you're operating at an enterprise level, they expect things to just work. You can't sit there giving them reasons as to why it didn't work. And you can't really tell your potential clients that your sales engineer is a big Netflix fan or a TV show fan, right? So you need to have some level of control over your endpoints. So you don't allow your employees to make configuration changes. And it's physically impossible. You can educate them and tell them, don't go install some software off the internet, but they're absolutely not going to listen, right? So you need to bring in some level of control so that you have good control over what gets installed, what kind of modifications they're able to make, and what kind of configurations that they're not able to make. Sometimes, they're going to hate you for it, but you have to do what you have to do, right? So that is from a security or ensuring that they don't change things that they're not supposed to. And also from a productivity standpoint, you need to ensure that your employees have the right type of software. They have the right type of security updates on their machines, so that they don't have Windows wanting to install the latest version of the OS in the middle of a presentation, right? That's also obviously a bad thing. And also, you need to be able to facilitate software deployment, especially if your employees are working remotely, um, or if you have multiple geographical locations where employees work out of. You could, the whole activity of walking up to someone and installing software on their machine is absolutely out of the question. You need to be able to do that remotely, irrespective of where your employee sits. And talking about software licenses is another behemoth to manage, right? So I've worked as part of my job description, worked with a lot of companies, helped them get their software license management in place. And companies with like 5,000 employees, 10,000 employees, whom you think would have good grip over software licenses, end up managing their software licenses on an Excel sheet. And it's an absolute mess, right? And it's a bigger mess if the person who's maintaining that Excel sheet leaves, someone new takes over, and they have no idea what format they use to kind of keep track of software licenses, right? So this is one area where enterprises also lose a lot of money. So, I mean, the best way to make money is also ensure that you don't lose money, right? So you need to have a good systems in place to ensure things don't get changed without your knowledge. You ensure that you facilitate timely OS updates, timely software deployment, and also have a good grip over your software license management. So when it comes to your digital workplace management, there's a lot of key things that organizations have a good grip over, which is ensuring workstations are provisioned on time. Um, they ensure that the antivirus is installed and have proper approval mechanisms for paid software to come through. But there's a lot of things that we fall short of. That is ensuring that patches are pushed in a timely manner. There is tight control over what people can and cannot change, and ensuring you have a central repository of your entire IT ecosystem. And thankfully, again, ManageEngine's enterprise IT management can help you with that. We have applications in place, or we have tools that could help you automate your entire patch management process in a click of a button, irrespective of where your end users are. And that also includes software deployment. You can remotely deploy software using these tools to your end users whenever they need it, and also document who requests for what. And as a result of having a good configuration management, you can also keep track of what is the hardware configuration on a certain user's machine, what are the list of software they have, and also have good control over what they can and they cannot change. So this basically funnels to a full-blown IT asset management system, which has an entire repository or record of all your IT assets, all your software licenses, and also, in fact, all your non-IT assets as well. Right. So I'll show you a few screenshots. Okay. So I actually pull up the actual application itself. So, um, anyone heard of? I think a lot of people talked by our booth the new MDM, which is part of Zoho One. Um, this is Endpoint Central. This is basically like the big sister of MDM. So MDM allows you to manage your mobile devices, whereas Endpoint Central helps you manage your laptops, desktops, servers, and it helps you do a whole array of things, starting with configuration management. So this is actually one of my favorite pieces of or features of Endpoint Central. So it can help you set up very fine grained control over what configurations end users are able to change and not able to change. And Endpoint Central works across all platforms. You could have a bunch of Linux machines, Windows machines, or Mac machines. It supports all OS flavors, and you can put in fine grained control over, let's say, you want to disable USB access to someone in customer support because they don't really need it, right? Let's say you want to disable printer. Let's say you want to automatically configure Microsoft Outlook for someone who's newly joining your organization. You can have all those configurations run using uh, Endpoint Central and threads and patches. So you need to ensure that patches, security patches, OS patches are pushed to endpoints in a timely manner and completely in an automated way. And I'll quickly show you how you do that. So for example, Microsoft publishes new patches every Tuesday. Have your Patch Tuesday, new security updates come in. And ideally, what you would do is you want to test those patches first on a few laptops before you push it to everyone. So that way, if there is some kind of a breakage, that is restricted to a smaller set that you can manage rather than opening up to a large audience. So you can pick specific patches that you want to install on your test group. I hope this is visible. I'll try to kind of expand a little. And you can, okay, what did I select? Doesn't like some patch I selected. Okay, there we go. All right, so you can pick the patches that you wanted to deploy as soon as it becomes available. And you can choose your deployment settings if you want to like deploy it on your own, or if you just want to publish it on your self-service portal so people can look at what is available and install it themselves. You can choose um, a window when you want these patches to go out. And if you have multiple offices, or if you have a, like for example, right now what we're doing is we wanting to deploy this patch to a test group first, ensure nothing breaks, and then push it to a larger set of endpoints. So you can pick very specific groups that you want to deploy this patch to, and you can also exclude or include specific targets. You can choose how many times you want Endpoint Central to try to redeploy that patch. And at some point, if you want to like install the software, or sorry, the OS patch, you can set those configurations as well. And you can ensure that everything happens in a non-business hour. So there is no real impact to users to do their day-to-day job, right? And finally, software deployment works very similar to how patch deployment works. Again, you can push software to um, all three OS flavors like Windows, Mac, and Linux. And you can set up your deployment policy. So this way, what you can do is you can have a request system where employees come in and request for software. Let's say you have a central ticketing system where people go in and say, you know what, I want this particular software. And and if you're using Manage Engine's own help desk application, from that ticket that comes in, if it needs some kind of an approval, you have an approval mechanism set there. And also, your help desk technicians can deploy software once the approval comes in. They don't even have to switch interfaces. Everything happens within a ticketing portal. Software request comes in, a validation happens whether the person actually needs that software, and from within that ticket, you can deploy the software onto the target machines. So it's a very well integrated ecosystem, just like what you see with Zoho, where each of these applications talk to each other, and you can set up your unified workflows. So your technicians don't have to bounce around across multiple applications to deploy something as simple as a software patch, right? So that is what Desktop Central, Desktop Central was the old name for Endpoint Central. So that's what Endpoint Central helps you do. So in addition to that, it also helps monitor endpoint security. If there are any malware or vulnerabilities that it detects, it does a continuous scanning of end users' workstations so that you um, have a good grip over what is going on. And as a result of bringing everything into this ecosystem, you can have a well integrated system where you know every single association between your assets in your IT ecosystem. So let's say you have an access point on a certain floor and you want to do a firmware upgrade. You need to, and obviously, when you do a firmware upgrade, it's going to go down for a few minutes. When you plan something like that, you need to know what are the devices that are going to be affected by that downtime. So a central IT asset management system helps you do very careful impact analysis. So you don't bring down something when you don't have to and affect end users' productivity. And, and obviously, you need to change things. You end up having to change things in your organization. Like, let's say, a firmware upgrade is a change, right? You have systems in place, or you have mechanisms where you can have a well documented change management process. Um, going from a submission phase where someone submits a request for a change. You have an entire planning mechanism where you put in the plan as to how you're going to go about that change. You have an approval mechanism where you have your change advisory board who can come in and vote for or vote against that change from happening. So, what you do by putting all these systems in place is that you have a well documented system of all the changes that happen in your organization. So tomorrow, when something breaks, and you and I know something is going to break at some point, right? So this gives you a way to come back and see who did what to cause something to change. And also, nobody can really wash their hands off and say, you know what, I never knew that was going to happen, right? You have a change advisory board which voted for that particular change by considering all the elements. So it also brings in accountability. So you, at any point in time, don't always take the blame for an outage. You can always point and say, you know what, you guys kind of approved this. That's why it went through, right? So um, you can set up these processes so that you have a good mature way of handling changes, and operating at an enterprise level you need to have that level of maturity. All right, so let's say you have all these systems in place. Now you won customers, and now you have to start onboarding your customers. And when you onboard a new customer, there is some level of data exchange that happens, right? So it could be something as small as you storing their credit card information to process future orders, or something as big as having a copy of their inventory levels. So when their inventory goes down, if you are a supplier, you go in and supply new um, products and services to them, right? So when a customer is onboarded, they trust you with all of that information, and it's our duty to kind of protect that, not only our own data but also our customers data. And with how mature security hacks have become, it's a challenge. It's an absolute challenge to ensure data doesn't get out of your organization, people don't get into your system and extract data and information, right? So something as simple as someone walking into a Starbucks and unknowingly connecting to a rogue Wi-Fi. And it's you and I know, like, you just need a mobile phone to set up a rogue Wi-Fi in the same name. And if you connect to a rogue Wi-Fi by mistake, whoever set up that rogue Wi-Fi can look at every single transaction that's happening between your laptop and the internet. So that includes your credentials, that includes your credit card information, whatever you're putting in. And like any good hacker would do, they're not going to start exploiting everything right then and there. They're going to happily wait there, let these users connect to a corporate network. So now they move across, laterally across to other systems, find more sensitive information that they could make use of, and create a lot of havoc, uh, to summarize. So the way Manage Engine kind of approaches security is has a set of tools that helps you behave like you already are part of a security breach, right? Always have that, you have your guards up, right? So I'll give you an example. So um, Management has a comprehensive log management system that is tuned towards security. So I'm sure all of you have heard of Splunk, which is this is a product called Log 360, which is very similar to that. And what it does is it has a complete ecosystem, or it has a complete record of all individual logs that are representations of activities that happen in your IT infrastructure. And it uses these log information to analyze data and give you risk scores um, as to both users and your entities. Now, for example, let's say you have this account manager who basically connected to a rogue Wi-Fi, and now their system is compromised. Now, as a user, let's take, for example, let's take this user Bob. I hope you're able to see my screen. I'll try to zoom in a little. So let's say Bob got someone who got into the system. So m- here, the application is looking at the user's activity. Bob's not really doing anything wrong, right? He is just going about his business without knowing that someone has gotten access into their application. So Log 360 gives a score based on not just the user, but also based on the entity, which is the laptop that Bob owns, right? So if you go to entities where Bob as a user has a good security score, the laptop that he's associated to or has ownership of is doing a lot of things that it's not supposed to. And that includes initiating multiple services, uploading data to the cloud, which are like removing or shutting down events, which are all indicators of a security breach. So Log 360 collects all of this data, processes that, and gives you a risk score of your employees, not just at a user level, but also at an entity level. So you can find telltale signs of a security breach from the get go. So you have to ensure that you don't have widespread access to your sensitive assets. So even though someone gets into your systems, it doesn't they don't easily get across the network and gain more access to data. So we put in a lot of systems in place, basic stuff like strong passwords, multi-factor authentication. But when it comes to security, my God, there's a lot of things that you need to be on top of, right? So you need these tools that will help you be on top of things, right? So this is again, Manage Engine's enterprise management ecosystem helps you put in um, things like a zero trust framework, uh, has privileged access management applications, a centralized log management application. All of this comes together to ensure that your security guards are up all the time and also help you develop a unified compliance management. And again, these are a few screenshots. For the lack of time, I'm kind of skipping through this because I already showed you a demo of how Log 360 works. You can also monitor data exchanges that happen between your endpoints and the cloud, because now we transact quite a lot with the cloud. And all of this comes together, right? It's so much data, and you can use this data to your advantage to run a lot of these workloads. And all of these individual components on the managed engine come together, so you can build analysis like this, which give the business insight into how you are running your IT ecosystem. So it shows how much business value IT is bringing in, what is the efficiency at which your your IT is operating at, what your end users experience is, and it also tells you if you're under your SLA compliance. And we do run a lot of AI workloads on top of it, which does a lot of the decision analysis for you. We call this decision intelligence, where it looks at the various activities that happen on your IT infrastructure and bubbles of things that need your attention automatically. All right. So, um, those are the primary things that I wanted to cover. So, Manage Engine has a very multi layered approach to IT, and at each level um, powered by AI. So at like the initial level, the base level, you have the systems or the products in place which help you manage your devices, manage your identity, manage your apps, which are more or less like the basic components that you need, whether you're operating at a small or a medium business or operating at an enterprise level. And at the second level or the second layer, two or more of our products come together to form the functional layer, which helps you run a lot of automations. So you're not doing all of this all by yourself. Majority of this is automated, and the tools do the work for you. And obviously, like I said, there's a lot of data that IT generates, and you use that to run your AI and ML workloads to come up with insights, come up with a lot of analytics that you can put to use, so that you are analyzing user behavior, you are analyzing entity behavior, and have a good visibility into your entire ecosystem. And all of these come together to form solutions. So, for example, Zero Trust is a solution, it's not a specific product. You need all these systems in place so that you have a good control over your entire IT infrastructure. And that's pretty much what Manage Engine is, right? So it has products that are available on premises. And today, almost all, or I think pretty much all Manage Engine products have a cloud counterpart. So if you want to set up everything on the cloud and don't want to deal with infrastructure, you can do so. And we met with a lot of managed service providers, MSPs also. So a lot of our products have a MSP version. If you are managing your client's network, you can do so using Manage Engine. So just like Zoho, there are like more than 60 different products under the Manage Engine suite. So if you have an IT problem, we most likely have a product for it, right? So that's more or less what I wanted to cover today. I think I'm done with my slides.